Please work today. Hello, everyone. Hopefully, everything's working today. It looks like it's working on my side. Hopefully, it looks the same on your side. Hope you all are doing well. Um, Real quick, a few announcements. For those who are supporters or who are thinking of becoming supporters, I apologize. We did not have a supporter only live stream this week. I did get a few emails saying that they didn't get emails about it and they missed it. Well, the reason there wasn't an email about it is we didn't have one. I had to actually go out of the town for a little bit. Had a holiday party I was supposed to attend to with the wife. So her and I went out. We had some fun, enjoyed a little holiday party. It was military, so it was her command and all that. Um, and it was actually really nice to be able to kick back, relax, have some laughs, meet some of the people she works with. It was a big hoot. And I got to dress up, and I do enjoy dressing up. So there you go. So don't worry about that. We will be back on schedule, I hope, this following week. Bear with me through the holidays. It's the holidays. It gets crazy. And half the time, I don't know what my own schedule is during the holidays. So, like Sunday, everything's blocked off on Sundays automatically. That's just how that is. But setting up the newer stuff, that's something I got to consider. My chair feels low. Is it? Yes, it is. Why is my chair down? Somebody been messing with my chair, people. So yeah, there's that. Let's see. What else? Seems like there'd be something else. Okay, well, I don't know. If you are considered interested in supporting the channel, jump over to the locals community and sign up there to support us. That'd be a great place to support us always. As always, if you enjoy the content, be sure to hit the like button. It helps the algorithm know you like what we're doing, and also subscribe and turn on notifications so you're notified anytime we release a new video or we go live to the public. We are trying to reach 50 supporters over at the local community. We're trying to hit that goal. So consider giving us a help there. All right. So, see, Violet Star, welcome. Glad you could make it. Gree, glad you could make it. Skilled, welcome. There seems to be a question missing. Okay. Or a comment, maybe. I will remind everybody, keep things PG in here. And follow the general rules, PG, no politics, no religion, those kinds of things. Vitki, good to see you. Drumwitch, hello. Dragon West, good to see you. Jade, glad you're here. Jade, if you can, drop the locals link as well as the school link, or just drop workingdragonmystic.com in general, because you can find everything there for everybody. I'm sure they'd appreciate it. Let's see. Wait, I always wondered if I can watch the supporter only lives on YouTube if I'm only a supporter on locals. So the link is dropped in the locals channel, but it is still a YouTube live stream. It's just you can't access it without having the link. So you can still watch it on YouTube if you're a supporter over there. Yes, it's just a matter of clicking the link. We're still figuring out some of the stuff. It's a new methodology and stuff like that. So we're trying to figure some of that out. But it does allow us to do more. Another thing is we are trying to get more people to show up, because we do it Fridays at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. It's weird having fans everywhere, because then you got to remember more than one time zone. But with the holidays, it's been hard to get the pattern going. Hopefully at New Year's, we'll be able to get the pattern going so you all can expect it more. I do try to make sure it sends out an email to all local supporters so that they can get the link there and click it in the email. We've had a few people say they can't click it. We don't know if it's a browser issue. We've had one person say it's a browser issue. I'm still trying to figure that out. Now, actually, here's a cool thing, though. If we can hit that goal of 50 at locals, we will be able to do the stream straight at locals, which would be very helpful. But we are going to try and see about figuring out that link issue. It's the holidays. Everything's crazy. And they did just do a big systems update, which I'm excited for because I think it's going to work out a lot of bugs. So, yeah. So hopefully that'll help a lot because I know a lot of people has been emailing me like crazy about. I guess they're seeing things on not YouTube. They're emailing me because they're seeing stuff either on YouTube or social media or wherever they're seeing it about possible censorship, removal of channels and stuff. I don't know. So far, YouTube has not said a word to me. So far, I seem to be at least appearing to be on YouTube's good side. And they've been good to me. You know, we hold to the little policies here at YouTube, and they give us a platform to help others. So I'm, great with that. I am very free speech minded. So, I do appreciate y'all keeping me posted when you hear these kinds of things. It's nice. Thank you for emailing me. I do look into it, and hopefully nothing ever comes of it. I'd rather everything just be good. But if it does, hey, we're having some backup plans. So, do the best you can with what you got. Anika, good to see you. Let's see. I've been thinking lately, how can we be sure that entities are not just lying to us, and how can we even know that? Just a thought. I'm wondering, what do you think about that? I don't know why they would do that. Would though. Honestly and truly, this is actually a little bit less of a problem than a lot of people think it is. So same thing with like spirits faking, pretending to be things they're not. The biggest entities you have to worry about lying to you are human spirits, plain and simple. But the easiest way to tell if they're lying is do your own due diligence, research, and keep your notes. Like if I'm working with an entity and an entity is helping me to achieve a goal and I'm working toward a goal, if I don't actually see progress toward that goal, I'm going to be asking why. Because of that. Isn't it true that trickster spirits don't occur with dragons, or spirits don't fake being dragons? Yes, that's true. You won't find trickster spirits of any kind in dragons. Because dragons are very harsh about that. In fact, trickster spirits in general aren't as common as a lot of people want to paint them as these days either. Again, it would still require something. Most entities aren't going to pretend to be another entity of any actual decent power. So if you're working with a known pantheon, unless you're doing something to be directly disrespectful to that pantheon, you probably don't have to worry about a trickster spirit. This is why a lot of people do say start with a predefined known pantheon, because it just puts in certain bases. So like if you're trying to contact Odin himself can be tricksy. He can be wily, but no one's going to attempt to fake to be Odin. Same thing with Freya. Same thing with the Egyptians, even the Olympians. So you don't have to worry about those. Now, I've been asked about, like, what if I'm working with the Goetia, or what if I'm working with angelic spirits? If you are using a known system, say, if you're calling on Michael, you're using a known sigil for Michael, you're contacting directly with Michael. Michael's not the kind of guy somebody's going to try and pretend to be. There would be consequences. Same thing with Azazel or Citri or Belial or any of these that would be in the Goethe show. You could definitely bet on. Now, if you're using lesser known entities that you can't really confirm them through historic means or long-term usage by magicians, you might have to worry about it because you don't know if that is a thought form, an egregore, or if it's a human spirit that has just been playing on another magician for so long. That's just the way it is. And a lot of people, when they run into these tricksters, they're opening themselves to just anything at random. They're not really doing their due diligence. And that's where you run into your problem. As far as an entity lying, we as humans view lying differently than entities. I'll be honest with you. Why would they lie to us? Perhaps there's a lesson in there. There are many entities that will lead you through the most convoluted path to get you to the exact goal you're asking them to get you to. And you, in your human brain, expect them to go from A to B. But they know that you cannot go from A to B, whether it's your personality, whether it's how you learn things. There's so many things about ourselves we don't want to personally admit, so that when we ask them to help us get to this point, they know our personality or whatever it may be will not let us go from here to here. So they will have to lead us around. And to a lot of people, that can feel like they're lying to you. That's why I say track your progress. Look at how you're moving toward the goal and keep those journals. You all know how much I harp on journals. That journal is your best tool because that's going to help you find out whether it's working. And then you got to look at it. Is the entity lying? Is it the entity, or is it you that's the problem? I would actually argue that 98% of the time, the magician's the problem. The magician is either grounding out the magic themselves. They're not doing their part. I'll be honest with you. I've never had an entity maliciously lie to me in all these years. The only entities that have lied to me are human spirits, not entities I work with, humans that I've encountered, whether it was on a paranormal investigation or something like that. Human spirits are the only spirits that have actually been a genuine problem. And many of you know I don't generally make a habit of working with human spirits outside my ancestors, because I don't even like most of my ancestors. So I sure as hell ain't going to trust a random human spirit. Just one of those little things. Let's see. A coyote also, coyote spirit is a different type of spirit. It's more of a land spirit. It's, again, not into those other categories of the pantheons and stuff. And you are correct that the coyote in an essence is a form of trickster spirit. But even when working with coyote spirits and coyote medicine through shamanism, there are lessons and benefits to be learned. And a coyote will still not run the risk of pretending to be a dragon or pretending to be a god, or I almost hit a lamp, or something like that. Move that lamp out of the way. So there we go. Good questions. Let's see. It's Dragon School. Let's see. Drum Witch, it's Dragon School. I mean, we can talk about dragon magic. I don't understand the question. It's Dragon School, but the website's at workingdragonmystic.com, if that's what you're asking. Drake, random again, but have you ever watched How to Train Your Dragon? In my experience, dragons love it, and they're not too keen on the writing aspect, but friendship. And I've actually never seen it. Ever since I've started this channel, people have been asking me to watch it. Every streaming service that I've ever gone to attempt to watch it doesn't have it when I sit down to watch it. They just don't. And weirdly, none of my friends that I visit or know in real life have that movie either, even the ones that's watched it. So it's just one of those things where me and that movie have just never crossed paths, ever. And if you've watched through the live stream playlist, that's one of the things, like, I've had viewers harp on me. It's like, you got to watch this, you got to watch this. I've tried, it's just not there. So I haven't actually seen it. I've heard good things about it, but never seen it. Agree. What is your favorite holiday movie, Drake, or which one would you recommend? Okay, so I do have a few holiday movies, and it's like I can't pick just one. It's really hard for me to pick just one. So I have a tradition where I watch a few holiday movies, and it's not the holidays until I watch them. And the top two are probably Die Hard and National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I freaking love those two. It ain't the holidays and it ain't Christmas until Hans Gruber falls off Nakatomi Plaza and until Griswold blows up his Christmas tree. So those are definitely in my top two, along with The Grinch. Being I'm Gen X, I do kind of prefer the original Dr. Seuss animated one, followed closely by Jim Carrey's. I thought that was a loving little twist on it. Though I will give Cumberbatch's newer one actually a marks up. He does a good job with it. I thought that one was good. So I got to have some rendition of The Grinch also for the holidays. After that, I'm probably, if I'm still watching holiday movies, I may go to Lethal Weapon, the original one. Believe it or not, that does take place at Christmas. And then I'm going into Home Alone, the first Home Alone. The other ones, but mainly the first Home Alone. And I love Tim Allen's Santa Claus series. I love that series, especially the first one. Second one, yeah, and then they start tapering, but I do like the Santa Claus. And if you can find it, and this one's a hard one to find, and it's one that's overlooked by so many people, Ernest Saves Christmas is pretty damn good, if you want my opinion. I loved Jim Varney and his movies. But yeah, so definitely got to have, National Lampoons and Die Hard for me. My mom, one that it's a movie, I don't watch it, but like it does, like when I think of holiday movies, it's always there. Is I think it's called A Christmas Story. It's that Ralphie movie with the kid, you'll shoot your eye out. My mom loves that movie. Like if you go to her house on the holidays, she will find a way to have that movie on repeat in some room of the house, some way. I don't know. It's just one of those things. That is like her movie. But it's one, I don't think I've watched it in several years. That movie actually makes me think more of my mom than the holidays these days, though. So there you go. I mean, hey, it's the holidays. I'll answer those questions. I don't care. Let's see. Let's see. I had a dream of a dragon. He was going somewhere. I should have saved him. Not really sure what that means. I mean, there's not a whole lot we can do to save a dragon. If a dragon's in danger, ain't nothing we can do about it. Agree, same. Let's see, what's your favorite? I love How Train Your Dragon. Don't they trick you to learn things? Yes, and honestly, that's one of the things. Like when you're working with Coyote Magic, they are kind of that trickster, playful. A lot of people think of trickster, evil, bad, but then people are too quick to throw around terms like good and evil, light and dark way too easily. I've worked with coyotes before, and everything they're doing, everything they're teaching you is usually when they're tricking you, when they're tripping you up, it's your ego they're striking. They are trying to get your ego in check. And if you can look past your ego and your selfishness, your greed, and all these things, and look at a broader picture, you will grow massively while working with Coyote. And actually, this is true of a lot of trickster spirits. That's one reason, like, people call Loki a trickster spirit. He's not really a trickster. He is a god of change, not so much a trickster. Though he loves practical jokes and stuff, he does kind of have that nuance to him. It's a very small part of who he is. But again, he's going to constantly push your buttons to make you a better person. And that's one of the reasons I love working with Loki so much. And honestly, when I need a good laugh, many of you all know I don't really get days off. So when I need to relax, when I need to get work done at the same time, I could use a good laugh. I love to invite Loki into the rituals and the work I'm doing because he is amazing at getting the changes done that I need to get done, while at the same time making me laugh at, like, I'm just sitting around with friends and you just have that great, amazing healing feeling of laughter all night. Okay. Whoa, we jumped. That's okay. That's okay. Let's see. Where are we? Angela, good to see you. Whole channel that streams a Christmas story for 24 hours. Yeah, my mom seems to find it or have it. I don't know. I don't even have cable myself, so I don't know how she does it. I think she might have satellite. I don't know what she does. But that's what she does, and she like has it on at least in one or two rooms in the house, so she can just pop her head in and watch it from time to time. Or if she's in the kitchen, especially when she's cooking Christmas dinner, it's like on. That's it. So it's kind of crazy. But my mom's also that person, like she decorates before Thanksgiving, which I don't begrudge her. She loves the holidays. You love the holidays, enjoy them, embrace them, have fun with them. But I mean, it's one of those things she just loves. She's ecstatic about the holidays. So let's see. Where are we? Like the time Loki told you, "Hey Drake, try this coffee. It's great," and it wasn't. Yeah, like that one. Ooh, oh God, I remember that. Yeah, that was bad. I mean, yeah, I can't say much. I'll pull pranks on my friends too. There, it happens. Oh, so another thing I did want to talk about tonight. I have been getting a massive, and I do mean a massive amount of emails talking or with questions piling up on paranormal investigations, paranormal style entities like shadow people, different styles of haunting, whether they're residual hauntings, intellectual hauntings, possible defenses that one person could use if they're wanting to do paranormal investigations and all this kind of stuff, and whether or not I plan to do videos on those. Truth be told, I had not planned on it, but the sheer amount of these emails, I do think that would be a fairly good area to talk about. Because it's not one of those things like you can't just come in here on a live stream and say, hey, let's talk about this, because let's just pick one of those real fast, like shadow people. That is a massive topic because the term shadow people has been thrown on probably 50 different categories of entities, and people try to use it as one singular title for one thing, and depending on who's using it and how they're using it actually determines and changes what they're talking about. So that makes it nearly impossible to just use the term shadow people and actually know what you're talking about. um, Almost like if you took the term dog and used the term dog to mean any animal. It's maddening. um, and I understand the confusion. I understand why people's asking these questions, and they're good questions. Don't get me wrong, they're good questions. So I am hoping to, in the new year, to start doing more videos on those topics. Um, the way that I've come to understand some of these things, the way that I utilize them specifically, and the way that when I had a team together, the way we used them, the way that we applied them, the way we did our evidence, how did we do protections, how did we make sure we didn't take anything home, all those questions. I'm hoping to do a series on that. Um, my wife has shown some interest in going out and doing investigations with me, as has at least one or two of the admin. If that gets up and going, I may share some of that on the channel. I don't know. We'll see where that goes. But I do at least want to approach that paranormal topic a bit more, because again, this channel is about practicality. It's about applying it, and it's about that useful information. And I honestly, you're right. That is it. And really, some of my earliest stuff in Magic was in that more defensive style magics and stuff. So, yeah, uh, look forward to that in the coming year. Also, if you have a topic in there that you want me to approach, let me know, whether it be in the comments section below some of the videos, or whether it's on Gilded, or just email me like everybody else has been doing, or in the locals community. Let me know over there as well, and I'll try and get those added to the list. I'm going to prioritize the ones that get the most likes, comments, or most people asking the same question, just so we are aware of that. Do 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 do. What do I think of Leviathan? I think Leviathan's actually a relatively complex entity that is also a very confusing entity because so many different traditions have tried to alter the lore of this entity and constantly shifted it around into something to fit their tradition or their view and all that. And that does become a bit more problematic. And some people want it to be a demon. Some people want it to be a dragon. Some people want it to be none of the above. Somebody wants it to be an angel. Some person wants it to be a deity. Some people, I mean, Leviathan's just one of those massively contradictory entities. And this does come from, unfortunately, the religious traditioning and bickering. So you will have literal religions bickering, and then you will have traditions within inside the religions bickering, and then you will have traditions that aren't even religious bickering over this one freaking entity. And it gets maddening. So now I have worked with Leviathan. Every time I've worked with Leviathan, Leviathan has shown up male. So I do refer to Leviathan as he. For those, and there's a lot of people who keeps using she. You know what? It's a big giant freaking snake thing. So at the same time, gender really doesn't matter to entities. So I'm not going to have that argument. But you are definitely dealing with something that is old within the primordial areas and does deal within very, very harsh currents and depending on how you approach it. And it's also one of those things where it's an entity and a name. And this also, I think, is partially where some of the confusion comes from. Because depending on the Leviathan entity you're approaching could actually depend on what you find. Because not all Leviathans are the same Leviathan. And that is a much larger and complex thing. And it can be maddening. Wouldn't inviting asking an entity questions into my astral sanctum after meditation be considered practicing all three arcane pillars? Well, let's see. You're doing the journey work because you're there, but technically, it's so all the arcane pillars overlap. Okay, you have to understand that they do overlap, and there is some people who view gaining information through evocation is a form of divination. However, here's the kicker: is that evocation actually training your skill at true divinations? I would argue no. If you have to go to an entity and you have to ask them this question to get that information, you're not actually training your skill at divinations. Ultimately, divinations is not the ability to lay down cards and get answers. It's not the ability to use a mirror and get answers. It's not the ability to use a pendulum if you can bypass the ideomotor response and not have that discount your results, which we all know I can't. The ideomotor response is something that will not allow me to trust pendulums. But true divinations is about training yourself to literally just be able to pluck information from the very ether around you and just know it. Just know it. And the tools are the starting point for being able to tune into that larger energetic ether that you're pulling from. If all you're ever doing is asking an entity a question, then that's like literally asking a mechanic to walk you through and give you, tell you what's wrong with your car. You're not learning how to diagnose it yourself. You're just asking the mechanic. So I, as a teacher, would say no if all you're doing is asking that question. Other people may say yes. So it's one of those, perspective things. But from my practical application and what the technical meaning of each of the pillars is, I personally would say no. Let's see here. Whoa, we jumped. Is there any way to shield or force a deity slash demon god off me so I can take a break, or am I shit out of luck? Still they think I'm done. If you've not built up a relationship or respect with that entity, you're going to have to. You can't really shield against, like, you're talking about a deity, and most of the things people call demons are actually old deities. Um, so if you've not been approaching them with an equal and you've given them some kind of pedestal and special position, it's very, very difficult, if not impossible. But it is difficult. You're going to have to find a way to tell them back the flip off, period. If you need that break, you're also going to need to ask why you need that break. Because if that break actually is counterproductive to something you've asked them to do for you, they're not going to let you take the break because they already gave you their word they're going to help you with something else. And this is something people fall into a lot. They will ask for something, they will ask for a change, they will ask for help in progressing and developing, and then it gets too hard. They want to take a break, time out, which is actually going to undo the work they previously done. And the entity did not agree to work until you gave up. They agreed to get you there. So it's one of those be careful what you ask for sort of deals also. If you need a genuine and true break, you need to make sure everything that you're working on with that entity is completed. That's really the only way you're going to do it. You need to go through and finish checking off everything you're doing on that list. Make sure it's all done, all open path workings, energy workings, spell workings, all those are complete. And you do not start anymore. And you also need to make them very well aware and be stern and respectful, but that at the time of this, we're not working together until further notice. That's really the best way to do it. But can you ever truly cut yourself off from an entity that you fully work with? A lot of magicians say no. And there are entities, I mean, you didn't give names, but there are entities that once you work with them, their influence will always be in your life. It also depends on how you work with them. If you invoke any entity, you can't cut it off. You can't. It will always have some minor influence on your life. So if you've ever done any invoking, you also got to consider that. But when I say minor influence, that's minor influence. That doesn't mean they're going to constantly be bothering you. But there will be an influence there of some kind. This is one of the reasons when people start magic, I tell them, be sure you're ready to do the work. Magic doesn't make life easier, it makes life harder because the universe expects more of you because you have more tools and capability. It sucks, but it is true. Your only real option there is, like, if you are treating them as an equal, stand up to them. Because it is doable. It is doable. You all know my relationship with Ra. I do not bow. I do not kneel. I approach all entities as equals, to which Ra did not like. So I told him to take a sugar frosted flip off a cliff, and I ain't working with him. And the only time I ever speak with him as an entity is for another client. That's it. I don't work with him personally. And anytime he's ever tried to show up, I've thrown him out of the house. But you also have to be sure enough in who you are. You have to know who you are as a person through and through, and be sure enough in your ability to be able to toss them out. If you question your abilities, then it's near impossible. If that makes some sense, I hope so. Let's see. Life is crazy. It got that part right. How would Lucifer feel like an offering of Small Bean, how would Lucifer feel like an offering of deviled eggs? Technically speaking, Lucifer actually knows the history of deviled eggs, and he actually enjoys deviled eggs because the term devil just means spicy. So, like, there was an entire like trend of foods back in the day where foods were just deviled and it was just spicy. And deviled eggs were one of the popular ones, and obviously it's probably the primary deviled food that we know today. Even though finding actual deviled eggs that are actually spicy is very hard to do. Like, I think I know one person who actually makes them spicy anymore. But I will say Lucifer does enjoy deviled eggs. In fact, it's hard to find someone who doesn't usually, unless they just don't like eggs. But if you don't like eggs, that just makes sense. But yeah, he wouldn't mind them. Hell, I wouldn't mind them. I can kill a plate of deviled eggs, but I'm Southern, so go figure. Oh, we jumped again. Okay. So I asked my trying. Let's see. So divination is just kind of like finding a book yourself instead of asking someone to teach you. Sorta. It's almost like you. This gonna sound cheesy, but it's almost like the Matrix. You just download the information straight. Um, because you literally do just gain that information and knowledge out of nowhere. There's many people who know me personally in my personal life, and they will see me. And actually, there's a few times it's even happened here on the channel. I've been called out. A few of you here in chat even have seen it and asked me about it in private messages, where you'll see me kind of look off to the side, and I'm thinking. It's not that I'm thinking through my memory. I'm actually looking for that answer, and a lot of times I am able to yank it right out of seemingly nowhere, and that's what I'm doing. It's one of the things that I've always pushed for in divinations. I'm no master of it by no means. I have pushed really hard. I'm pretty good and reliable on it. I can get answers more often than not, maybe 50% of the time. It's hard to say. But it has saved my bacon a lot. Like, I mean, a lot. I've used it to recover lost passwords. I've used it to recover lost combinations. I've used it to recover all kinds of crap. I've also used it in board games because I'm just a cheeky bastard like that. But besides, so ultimately in true divinations, that's the concept. Because if you think about it, divination is kind of like that ability for an entity to reach into the all-knowing area of what most people would view as godhood. It's that all-knowing. Okay, it's that you can know anything if you apply the skill. You're able to know it, and you're almost able to know it instantaneously if you just push into seeking it. Anyone who's watched me stumble around certain things know it's not something that I'm good enough that I'm going to rely on. I'm not going to bet the farm on it, but it is something I constantly exercise. I constantly apply it. I constantly use it, and I constantly check my work. It's pretty freaking cool over the years, and it's something that I do teach my private students when I work with them. And if I ever do a full divination course, it's actually something that I'm going to be putting in that course too, because it's an area of divinations that no one wants to touch on. They don't want to talk about it. And I don't know why, because for me, that's got to be the coolest freaking use of divinations. Much like people don't want to talk about scrying in detail because, oh, well, and it's hard for me to understand why people don't want to exercise more practicality in those things. I guess it's harder to write a book. I guess it's harder to sell a book. I guess it's harder to get people to commit to something that takes long time and hard effort. And people it's easier to sell things if you're selling an easy answer or what appears to be an easy answer. And, well, I can't do that morally. I can't personally do that. You all know me. I will tell you the truth before I sugarcoat it. Whether you're going to like it or not, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to tell you to the best of my ability how I understand it, how it works, how it functions, and what I would tell a student. I'm not here to tell you something just to get your money. That's just who I am. That's honestly why I stopped selling. I stopped doing spell working and stuff for hire, because I got so many people who literally, they would come in, they would do, like, we would have the sit down, the consult and everything. I'd say, do this, 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 and this. I'll be doing this, this, and this. They would never do their part. They expect me to just flip a switch, solve their life's problems. And then they would just continue to repeat the same mistakes, ruining their life, and then blaming me. And that irritates me. So it's like, fine, I'll just close it down. Because I didn't need the money. So if that makes some kind of sense, I hope it does. IRL Ashley, thanks. No problem, Ashley. Happy to help. Glad it did help. I'm so adding wing sauce to a new batch of my deviled eggs. Angela, do it. Oh, Angela, try this sometime. If you've ever had pickled eggs or made pickled eggs, pickle you some eggs for at least a week and make deviled eggs out of them. It next levels your deviled eggs. They are freaking amazing. They are like my addiction. They really are. And if you don't know how to make pickled eggs, I can do a video on it. But technically, you just hard boil them like you would for deviled eggs. Shell them, put them in a jar, pour white vinegar over them, cap the jar, stick them in the fridge for a week. That's it. That's all you got to do. And if you've ever had gas station pickled eggs, that ain't what they taste like, just so y'all know that. Homemade pickled eggs, completely different beast. But that pickled egg with the deviled cream stuff, the yolk when you make the deviled eggs, oh dear God, it's amazing. And the reason I became so addicted to this, you all know I do carnivore. So I will keep the pickled eggs in the fridge, and when I need a snack, I'll grab 2 eggs out of there, slice them in half, take the yolks out, add some bacon mayo into that, mix that up, put this some cayenne or hot pepper or something, hot sauce in there, mix that up, put that back in the eggs, and boom, I got 4 deviled eggs in under 5 minutes. No hassle, no peeling, no nothing. It's a quick, easy snack that is, love that shit. It's my crack, Angela. Try it. Let me know what you think if you try it too. And yes, I make my own bacon mayonnaise. If I just realized I said I put bacon mayo in there. Somebody's probably like, what's that? Yes, I make my own mayonnaise and I use bacon grease. So I keep it carnivore. And if you've never had bacon mayo, oh, that's good stuff. I may have to do it. Jade, we may have to put bacon mayo in the cookbook, or at least do a video on how to make it. Because the world needs more bacon mayonnaise. They really do. Do a video on homemade bacon mayo. I will. I'll do the video on it. I will say that when I do it, I have trouble getting the texture right with the bacon mayo. It's weird because I can make normal mayonnaise just fine, but with carnivore, it does come out a little thinner, but I still love it. And it still works great for deviled eggs too. So yeah, I'll do the video on it. I'll try and get that sometime in the new year, Angela. In fact, hold on. I'll even add that to the outline list. Because I had bacon mayo. There we go. All right, added it to the list. That way I can't forget. Let's see. I've reached into the all-knowing during yes, yes, using that during test is a nice little trick, no doubt. Oh yeah, unicorns they're mean little bastards. There's no doubt about that. They are mean. This concept of the celestial, holy, just goody two shoes unicorn that we see, especially in movies from my childhood that traumatized a lot of people. They're nasty little creatures. Whether they're from the dark fey realms or the summer fey realms, they are mean. They're still beautiful creatures, but they're mean. And I don't hold it against them. I really don't. Ooh, that's. I'll have to buy some pickled eggs and try them. I'd love a video on how to pickle them. I've never. I can do a video on them too. That's not an issue. I actually that'd be a great way to set it up is to actually do the video on how to do the pickled eggs, do a video on the bacon mayo, and then do a video on putting them together. Or actually, I could probably do the bacon mayo and the put them together at the same video possibly, because I can do the deviled egg video and say, keep these for 2 weeks in your fridge so they're ready. And if you make those when we do that video, then 2 weeks from then we can do like the bacon mayo, so you have them on hand. Store-bought pickled eggs, I like them. A lot of people do not. They are potent, to say the least. They do not taste the same as homemade. It's kind of like homemade eggnog. Homemade eggnog, if you don't like eggnog, most people who try homemade absolutely love it. Store-bought does not taste the same. Is it technically eggnog? Yes. Does it taste the same? No. And pickled eggs fall in that same category. And yeah, they can be overbearing when you buy them store-bought. So I'll do a video on those for you all. I don't mind. We can do that. Pickled eggs. Sorry, I'm typing. I have a hard time running my mouth while I type. It's about the only time y'all can get me quiet. Will you do a video on a carnivore Christmas dinner? I hadn't thought about it, Angela, but I could certainly try. I don't think that I could get it before Christmas, unfortunately, but what I can do is we have been discussing how we want to do Christmas dinner and if we want to make it carnivore or keto. We are not actually adding desserts in. GK, thank you very much for the super chat, mate. I'll include you in the spell work too, because that's over the $5. We have been discussing what we wanted to do. We did some desserts for Thanksgiving, but we decided we don't want to do that for Christmas dinner. And we're discussing whether we want to do prime rib or brisket. And I think if I remember right, the wife has decided she wants brisket over prime rib, which I'm not going to complain. I love me some prime rib. Don't get me wrong. You all know I did a video on a prime rib. So I actually might try to do I might do that. Because we're still planning it out and figuring out how we would put it together, what we want. The trick is the sides and the fixings. That's what you got to figure out. Like, because you can't have pumpkin pie and have a carnivore Thanksgiving or carnivore Christmas. You can't. But at the same time, like, what do you want? What do you need? Like for me, holidays is about bulk. It's about leftovers. So like if I was to run a full brisket through the smoker, I would have 3 or 4 days worth of food. If we paired that with maybe some roasted cod or some shrimp or bacon, even make some bacon to pair with that. Deviled eggs, we could easily pair the deviled eggs with that. So you're starting to see that holiday selection bulk out with some carnivore foods. Something crunchy, you could easily go in for some pork rinds if you need something crunchy. You could even batter some chicken and some pork rinds. So there are your options. Once I get closer to us settling in on what we're actually going to do and how we're going to do it, I'll consider that. And like I said, it might be after, but at least it would show how you could do it for next year. If I don't get it filmed this year, though, I will put it on the notes as a ideal coming into the holidays for next year, because that's a really good ideal. Thank you, Angela. Can you talk about angels? Actually, yeah, I'm actually getting ready to do a whole series on angels. Those over at the locals community, you probably saw an announcement where I've actually started to record. I'm going to be doing a series on the Kabbalistic angels specifically. The first video, I think, might be coming out following week. I don't remember which, but what the Kabbalistic angels are, because they're angels that a lot of people are not necessarily familiar with. So we're not talking about just going in and doing like Michael, Uriel, Raphael, Gabriel. I don't want to talk about them so much because so many other people's talked about them. I want to do something different and bring a lot more attention to angels. I don't think angels actually get the attention they deserve. And when they do, it's usually a bunch of fluffy bunny love and light crap. That's very non-practical and probably not useful for most people. Or it comes from a very religious or spiritual side that turns off a lot of magicians. And I get that. So it is a series I'm really excited about doing and wanting to do. And I do actually enjoy working with angels. I'll enjoy it. I know about that. Estimated date when the cookbook will be ready. Don't have one, Greek. My apologies. I will just straight up, me and Jade are trying to put it together. But between what I'm having to do and her juggling family life, which I don't know how she juggles what she juggles, and the holidays, it's just right now we don't currently have a date. But I will probably be getting with her later this week to see if we have a ballpark. We're still collecting some recipes for it. Please do all the things you've mentioned. Baking milk. I will, GK. Don't worry. What's your opinion on star seeds? Real fancy term. Okay, I'm about to piss some people off here. I'll be honest with you. Star seed is a term I've heard for well over 20 years. And in 20 years, the term has been used at least 6 different ways to mean 6 different things. And they keep changing it every so often. And it changes with fad trends every time. Every time it has shifted and changed it with a fad trend. And it's one of those things that when I see something interesting, I want to look into it. And every time I've looked into star seeds, I have found nothing, absolutely nothing. And that's why you don't hear me talk about it, because generally speaking, I don't have a lot of good things to say about the term. And most of the people, and this is unfortunate for me, I'm going to say it's unfortunate for me, but I'd say 90% of the people I have met who want to make that claim are really just people trying to give themselves a free gold star for no reason. It sucks because like every time I find something on them, I want there to be some meat. I want there to be some sustenance there. I want there to be something there. And honestly, it's one of those terms I've not found bupkis to support it. I keep looking. Maybe one day I'll find it, but so far I have found nothing. Pipe Smoking Heathen, hey, thank you for the super chat, mate. And that's just one of the things. And there has actually been a lot of people who have pulled from a few research notes that actually suggest its origins are pretty down one certain line. Yeah, you're going to hit a bad spot. There are bad spots in every belief system, every tradition, every religion. History has bad spots. It's riddled with bad spots. We learn from bad spots. We don't avoid them. We don't toss them out. We don't get rid of them. We learn from them. We do better. So I try not to put too much onto that. But so far, I haven't really, outside people trying to sell something that really most people I know never get anything from. I've never found anything solid on it. My apologies. That said, you'll know I haven't found that many. That does mean I have found a few people who this concept, this practice has helped them in some way beneficial. I third place, which is if what you're doing is for you, if what you're doing is helping you to be a better you, if what you're doing is helping you to achieve the goals and live the life you want to live, and you're not hurting anyone else in the process, guess what? I support you. Keep doing it. But I won't teach something that I can't personally see the sustenance in. Hope that answers your question somewhat. Because I'm not going to agree with everybody. People want me to agree with them, and I apologize. It's like I will agree with you when I agree with you, but oftentimes I don't agree with people. And I don't expect everyone to agree with me. There's a lot of people who don't agree with me, and I'm happy they don't. We need varieties, we need viewpoints. The worst thing in the world is for everyone to attempt to be on a spreadsheet controlled viewpoint. That's dangerous, period. And I don't like it. And so, yeah, Small, I think you and I actually commented on a question in the Gilded about this at one point. And yeah, I you and I is not too far off base in our stance on them. And I try to be as diplomatic as I can when it comes to them. But yeah, it's a hard one. Oh, and for the whole chat, you all got this no matter what life shows what's going on. How dare you? I'm a special snowflake. How dare you? I'm a special snowflake indigo child of the universe. And I fart sunshine. Pop smoking easy. That's amazing. Mugs up to you, mate. Mugs up to you. Mugs up to you. Let's see. Well, see, aliens is only one definition of it. That's one of the things, like I said, the definition has changed. At one point, it was talking about all people who were cosmic stuff. Okay. At one point, it was people who were born under certain celestial energy patterns. At one point, it was people who were aliens in different lifetimes. Then at one point, it became people who are aliens and don't know they're aliens. I mean, it's just changed and it follows the trend. And at least one person, oh my God, I need to see if I can get a hold of his data and his charts because he actually pulled like the trending books, like the trending spiritual and metaphysical books and occult books. And it showed that the starseed definition transitioned with the top selling book of that particular section of years. I think he'd done it over a 5-year period. Every 5 years, the definition would line up with whatever was selling best. That's not a good look, technically speaking, because that means it makes it look like either the books are following the definition or the definition's following what people are trying or looking to buy. And that, that something like that leaves a bad taste in my mouth. But then again, like if you're trying to make a living, you're trying to make a living. You all know, like I've said it on this thing, there's a lot of things I could do on this channel. I could do it very differently. I could grow the channel faster. I could make more money. I could do those things. But I would have to sell out and not be honest and true to myself. And I'd have to dive into gimmicks and stuff I don't agree with. And it's not who I am. And I'd rather shut the whole thing down before I do that. So I would rather the channel grow nice and slow and stick to the goal and stick to the mission of Working Dragon Mystic than to do that. And if I can't stick to the mission, I'd rather just shut the whole thing down. So, let's see. And Jade is throwing clocks at me. Let's see if I have anything I can get. Also, Drake. Have you seen those people? I've seen those. I'll admit I've giggled, but before anybody gets mad at me, like I've seen people try to associate this light language with dragons. The dragons don't claim the light language at all. Much like I did the video, the draconic language is something that can't even be channeled through a human. We cannot comprehend it even at this level of our soul, much as our brain. But the light language itself and this yapping, could it be a language? I honestly would have to say it can be. And I say this for two reasons. First off, let's look at a lot of Aboriginal people who have like that clicking language. Like when I hear it, all I hear is a bunch of clicks and pops. I don't hear language, but someone who knows the language, not only can they say it, can they speak it, they actually can hear what they're saying in the differentials. And that makes sense. Once you learn to hear something, you can do it. But then there's also the concept of glossolalia, or what most people would be more familiar with, speaking in tongues. I have genuinely witnessed people who fall into that glossolalia or speaking in tongues, where they start speaking a language they don't flip and know. To them, them themselves, they're speaking nonsense, but what comes through them is an actual language. And I've seen it be like a Cherokee language. You got someone who doesn't know Cherokee speaking Cherokee, and occasionally you have that case where someone who's there actually knows what they're saying, and it turns out that whatever they were spouting actually had great meaning for them. So if these two things can be true, and we know they're true, then I have to consider that there's something to this light language. I honestly think it's just a form of glossolalia. You want my honest opinion? I think it's just glossolalia, and they're trying to put a shiny star on it and frame it up into something else. But regardless of how you frame it, regardless of how you package it, it could still be a thing. And for those who's like, well, Drake, then why did you find it funny and laugh at it? I'll be honest. As someone who does utilize glossolalia, as someone who has heard glossolalia, as someone who has spoke in tongues, and because speaking in tongues and glossolalia is the same thing, and who has been around people who do it, I snicker and giggle at them. Just because something works, just because something's true, doesn't mean it doesn't sound funny. And that's why I'm happier than a lot of people, is because I'm not afraid to laugh at something, even if it's true. Just like I'm not afraid to laugh at myself. I do a lot of stupid shit, and I'm willing to laugh at myself, even if it works. So I have seen it. It's I personally just file it under glossolalia, because every time I've looked into it, every time it's been brought to me, that's honestly all it looks like, is just a form of glossolalia. As to its point of origin, I know it's not draconic. I know it doesn't specifically come from the dragons. The dragons they can speak it, but they don't tend to use it. So its point of origin, I would have to personally mark as unknown. Now, but when I mark it as unknown, let me also say that I've not actually sat down and spent months trying to track it down, because it just doesn't interest me that much. And with me trying to do work in Dragon Mystic, you all know my research time is kind of constrained, because I'm also doing this. So just because I ain't found it doesn't mean it ain't out there. And I like the sources I work with, none of them seems to use it. That's the best I can do. And if I run into the source and I think about it, I'll let you know. All right. Jade's already throwing clocks at me, so I'm going to get ready to let you all go. I have got to go do dinner. I got to feed the wife. You know how that is. And well, I got to feed myself too. So, you all have a fantastic week. Let me see if I can actually see this week's video. Yes, this week's video is Unali. So we got a Dragon Magic video coming out this week. I hope you all enjoy it. I know a lot of people have been wanting that video on Unali, so it is coming out this week. And I always thought light language was BS. Thanks for the enlightenment on this. Honestly, the way they present it is what makes it feel like bullshit. You see what I'm saying? That's why packaging matters. There's a lot of things that people find as bullshit, but when I pull back all the bullshit and the drapings and the fireworks and the glitter, and show you what it is at its core, show you that frame, and let you know, hey, look, it's glossolalia. It has a history. It has a point. It has a representation. When you pull all that back, well, it starts making sense. And that's why I want to talk more about the paranormal and these things, because I think if we pull back some of the BS, you will start to see that some of these things out there that look like bullshit might have some meaning to them. Of course, some of them, when you pull back the bullshit, you're left with nothing, which means they're bullshit. So, we got to keep an open mind. We got to keep that open mind. Try to keep that open mind. All right. Everyone have a fantastic week. I will see you next week. And for my local supporters, I will be doing a supporter only live this Friday. I already have it on my calendar. I'm even planning to set it up and post the link probably as early as tomorrow, hopefully. So keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for your email. If you're a supporter and you haven't gotten the link by Thursday, let me know. I'll make sure to send another one out. See you all later. Have a fantastic week and a happy holiday if I don't see you before Christmas. Take care. Good night.